So you clicked on this video because you want to know all there is to know about renting in Loudoun County. Well, I'm going to break down my top 5 things you must know before you rent here in Loudoun County. My name is Griffin. I'm with Loudoun Living at Pearson Realty. I'm a top-selling real estate agent in the Loudoun County area, and I help a lot of people like you relocate every year to the Loudoun County area. I also run a very popular moms group called the Loudoun Moms on Facebook, where they have everything you need to know about being a parent and being a mom here in Loudoun County. So you're thinking about renting in Loudoun County, and you want to know some of my top 5 tips to renting here in Loudoun County. So we get a lot of people who relocate to the area, or maybe they're, doing like a job change or something like that. So the first question that I always get is, what do they need to know before they start renting? And a lot of people are coming to our area because of the relocation. So they're thinking about buying, but they want to rent just on the short term. And typically in our area, we do see a lot of 12-month rentals. It's very rare to see a 3 or a 12-month rental. If you're thinking of going that route to kind of test out the different areas and things like that, I really recommend looking at an apartment community or seeing about renting from a private person like on Craigslist or Facebook, something like that. Because typically the rentals that we see in the MLS that go through large property management companies or that other real estate agents are renting for landlords tend to be a 12-month rental or longer. So really, if you want to be in Loudoun County and that's where you've narrowed down your area, and that's really critical, is kind of narrowing down to which city within Loudoun County that you want to be, and you're thinking about a short-term rental, you really need to stick with the apartment communities, and those are typically going to be not in Western Loudoun. So you're going to be looking in Ashburn, Leesburg, Sterling, Chantilly, Aldie, kind of those areas if you really think that you want to do a short-term rental. But other than that, you're really looking at a 12-month rental. And yes, there could be ways to break your lease. It depends on what type of lease you end up doing and what the penalties will be. So if you're thinking of signing a 12-month lease, but you are really considering you're probably gonna break it early, just make sure you go over those terms with your real estate agent and really kind of know what you're getting into before you sign the lease. Number 2 is people always want to know what money is involved. So let's talk a little bit about that. So typically in our rental market, things right now are really kind of aggressive. There's just not a lot of rentals. There are a lot of people who are renting because rentals right now in some cases are actually cheaper than buying a home. It just depends on the area and the type of home that you're looking at. And so you're typically going to need 1 month rent, a security deposit, which is given to the landlord. And then the first month's rent, a full month worth of rent, is due to the real estate company who is managing or who is helping you get the lease. So the listing agent for the landlord. So that's due up front. So typically you're going to have 2 months immediately due upon signing a lease. So let's say you're moving in September 15th. You would be required to give the listing agent for the landlord the first month's rent for October, which would be a full month. The security deposit would be given to either the management company or the landlord for your security deposit while you're living there. And then the day you pick up the keys, say it's September 15th, you would be responsible for giving the landlord the days of September, so the 15th through the end of September. So it could be a lot of money up front depending on when you're moving in and if it's a prorated lease versus just a start on the first of the month. Also, we're seeing some places are getting 2 months versus security deposit because maybe they're getting, 10 or 20 applications on one property. We've been seeing that. And so to be more competitive, sometimes people are going above the rent. So say the rent's $2,200 a month, maybe they're offering $2,300 to make it a little bit more enticing for the landlord. Or we're seeing people put down like 2 months worth of security deposit to really get that house, or maybe a larger pet security deposit, something like that. So if you also have a pet, kind of factor that in. There may be a little bit of an increase in your rent to cover any damages and wear and tear that the pet may have, as well as a pet security deposit. As I mentioned before, our rental market right now is still really strong. It's the fall of 2022. We're still seeing a lot of people entering the rental market because maybe they can't purchase another house, or they're relocating to the area, so they just kind of want to test things out. So we're seeing a lot of landlords knowing that they can be selective with the tenants. And so a lot of them are not accepting pets right now. We've seen a huge decline in the properties that will accept pets. So kind of keep that in mind. If you have a dog or two dogs or a cat or two cats or multiple of those, you may want to make sure that the person that's helping you find a rental, real estate agent, is really narrowing down your search to ones that accept pets. And then some are case by case. So if you have a 100-pound dog, you may want to check with the real estate agent before you go see the property. Do they accept a 100-pound dog or do we need to look at a different property? Apartment communities, so for anyone who's got multiple pets, I always say some of the apartment communities might be your best bet because they're a little bit more flexible with pets and things like that. So kind of keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that you may be required to pay an extra security deposit in your pet addendum, and then also an increase in your monthly rent. So it's not uncommon to see a $50 to $100 increase in your rent for the pet, just for the extra wear and tear that may be on that property. Next is, what are the credit and income requirements? So in our area, typically the credit requirements are 650 and above. Sometimes I'm seeing 620, but that's really kind of the standard threshold. So you really should pull your credit, go to freecreditreport.com, or you can go to different sources and pull your FICO score through the different bureaus and kind of see what it is. So you need to be, like I said, usually 650 and above. So if you know your credit score is a 550, then you may need to change up your strategy here, and you may not want to go with properties that are listed in the MLS that are by a management company or a real estate agent, because they may not accept you. So definitely have the person who's helping you look for a rental check with the landlord. What are their minimum credit requirements? And if it's not, and your credit score does not meet the minimum requirement or above, then you may want to source other avenues, such as an apartment community or going with a private citizen and seeing if that might be a better fit for you, or getting a co-signer or something of that nature. But just know that in our area, especially in a competitive and selective rental market that we have right now, you may need to make sure that you hit those minimum credit requirements. Also, income. Typically in our area, it's 3 times the rent. So let's say the rent is $2,200 per month. You need to be bringing in $6,600 a month as your income for the property. And a lot of them are looking at DTI, so debt to income ratios. And if your debt to income ratio is above 50%, that in some cases may disqualify you from a property, especially if there's a handful of other applications and someone's got a really good FICO score and they have a really low debt to income ratio and they make a little bit more than you per month. The landlord may select them versus you based on the credit worthiness. So definitely know what your income is, calculate to 3 times, and know what your FICO score is, because those are really important to know in our area. And number 5 is, be prepared to possibly put in multiple applications. Yes, I have seen some clients putting in 2 or 3 or 4 applications, and know that each application is about $65, $75, and it's for every person over the age of 18. So if it's you and another person that are going to be on the lease and you're both over the age of 18, it's going to be 2 fees and 2 separate applications. Most are done online, which is really nice. You just upload your docs, fill out the application, but just know that there may be a chance you may be filling out 1 or 2 applications. Or multiple applications, and make sure that you have your pay stubs, your W-2s, your employer information. So if you have a supervisor, they can call and verify past rental history. If you live at XYZ house, make sure you have the landlord's information so that way we can do a verification of rent. All those kinds of things are really important, because what you don't want to have happen is you fill out half of an application, it's incomplete, because usually we process first come, first serve. And if yours is incomplete, maybe it just gets kicked down to the bottom and they'll go to the next application. Yours might have been a perfect fit, but because it was incomplete, they're gonna start at the bottom or start with the next one. So really make sure that your application is complete, and know that sometimes you maybe fill out multiple ones. But keep in mind, if you fill out an application for a property and it's managed by a specific company, or it's it's a real estate office that's running your application and you don't get selected, but maybe you met the requirements for the property, ask if they have any other rentals. Say, hey, I didn't qualify for 123 Main Street, but are there any other application or any other properties that I might qualify for? So maybe they, you can go to this other house and not have to pay the application fee again. Maybe they can just transfer your application. So always ask, it doesn't hurt. But these are kind of my 5 tips and tricks for if you're looking to rent and you're looking to rent in the Loudoun County area. If you're thinking about relocating to Northern Virginia or the Loudoun County area, I'd love to be a resource for you. I help a lot of clients every year with relocations, whether they're moving outside of the area or within the DMV, and I'm happy to be your resource. My phone number is down below, and my email address is right here. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can watch any of our other videos coming out all about living here in the Loudoun County, Northern Virginia area.